The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set.
Hey, we're back. Another high episode of HBCU. I wish your boy Pooh Bow. Got my man Ant, Teddy Murphy in the building. What's good with you, my boy?
What's good, bro?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm tired as ever. Holidays, the interruption to your schedule is just it's terrible.
Trying to get back on schedule, bro. That's the first day back.
I think if we're gonna do daylight savings, which they getting rid of, but if they're gonna do daylight savings, I think it should be Thanksgiving weekend, the Monday before you go back to work, and you get an extra hour. Damn it, Congress, make it happen. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Man, we got some good stuff to talk about, man. We ain't been able to talk, with the Thanksgiving holiday and stuff. We did talk about the Bayou Classic. I'm gonna tell you something.
Man,
I must have had a feeling. Cause I'm gonna tell you what it was. I had packed my clothes when I went to out of town. I went to St. Louis, visit family. I had packed my clothes. I had packed my Grambling shirt. When I seen Hugh in that suit, I picked something else out. I wore something else. I was not gonna wear my Grambling shirt when I seen Hugh in that suit. It just wasn't gonna happen. Cause I had a bad feeling.
We're not even finna go there, man.
We gonna go there. We gonna go there. Man, hold on. We got special guests in the building too. We got Khalil A. Smith and Kendall Kellerman in the building with us today. You know it's going down, man. It's going down, man. So I gotta talk to them too, man. It's long overdue. I gotta talk to them. I'm a man of my word too. So, but you know what we gotta do before we get started. Gotta give a shout out to our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We'll be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey, before we get our guys in here, man, we gotta talk about a few things SIAC real quick. First off, man, major congratulations to Coach Teddy Keaton. Clark Atlanta steals a good one from Allen.
Good hire.
Yeah, great hire. Teddy Keaton is now the new head coach in Clark Atlanta. I think it was a phenomenal hire. The things he was able to do at Allen got Allen rolling, got them he definitely left that program in a better position than when he got it. I think he can do the same at Clark.
Yeah. And then obviously you go into a school with more eyes on it, a school that a lot of people talking about potentially could be having their eyes at some bigger competition. You know what I'm saying? So could be a big move for his career. But I definitely think that Clark got a good one, and what you mentioned, what he did at Allen, got to tip your hat to. A lot of credit to that because they definitely wanted to push over, and they had a lot of big wins under him. And I think that program is going to be set up good for whoever takes over after him.
Yeah. Shout out to Down South Football, our brothers over there. Man, I know this Noah as always, but he said my brother pulled the trigger. Congratulations, Teddy. I know, what I'm saying, they real close. I think college roommates, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to him. But man, listen. They had been rolling all season. And I hope that they was gonna keep it going. But unfortunately, Benedict ended their season on Saturday with a loss to Lenoir-Rhyne of 35-25. The game was really close. The third quarter is what separated.
Yep. Yeah, and then Benedict left some points on the board. They missed the field goal early in the game. But like you said, that third quarter, Lenoir-Rhyne seemed to be a different team coming out of the second half, and Benedict just didn't seem to have any adjustments for him defensively. And that's what was the big shocker to me was the way the defense played for Benedict. They gave up over 500 yards of offense. And, that's been their calling card on the Chinnis Berry is they vaunted defense. So that was the biggest shocker to me is them giving up that many yards, that many points. But the offense did what they could to keep them in the game. They had over 400 yards of offense. So, but like I said, missed opportunities early in the game, and just that third quarter was just too big of a hole for them to crawl back out of.
Yeah. Was that the last game for Chinnis Berry at Benedict?
Very possibly. Very possibly. With the openings that's already there, I mean, you gotta figure his name on the top or at the top or very top, near the top of just about all the jobs.
Can you think about it? Allen is in search for a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's rumored Benedict may be in the search for a new coach, and South Carolina State in search for a new coach.
Yeah.
Ooh, South Carolina. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, real.
Yeah. But here we go, man. We know what y'all came here for. We know it went for us. Gotta get our boys in, man. Welcome back to HBCU. Our guys, man. Like I said, we got Kendall Kellerman and Khalil A. Smith coming back. Welcome back, fellas. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Yo, what's up, everybody? I like being on y'all show.
I'm a man of my word.
And everything.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I'm a man of my word. I got to go back, and we was trying to get y'all on, but schedule conflicts and stuff like that. Magic City Classic. I said A&M was gonna win. I felt like they was gonna win. E-Rob pulled the trigger, made some things happen. Alabama State had to look back. They didn't look like a completely different team ever since. They've been rolling, man. Congratulations on that, man. Like I said, told y'all I would, fess up to it, admit I was wrong. I was wrong, man. Completely wrong. So congratulations on the win and an amazing turnaround of a season.
For sure. 5-game winning streak.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
put against the wall. He showed up.
That Miles Crowley revenge game didn't go quite the way I wanted it to go.
No, Kendall. No, we have been telling people
what
all the hype that people. Now I will say this: before the season, me and Kendall were like, "The Grandma game gonna be kind of scary. It's gonna be kind of scary."
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You know what gonna be on. But at the same time, when Miles was at Grambling, we were like, "He's okay. He ain't nothing like special. He's a starter for sure." But it's not like he's a world beater. He was at all these NFL and
he started the season off on fire, though. You got to give him.
Yeah, I was about to say started.
You got to give him that. But he came back down to earth, though.
He ran into that Black Swarm defense.
Yeah.
You know what? I wonder because of how it started and how it ended. I wonder if Tony Hull was still calling plays at the end of the season, the way things started looking. You know what I'm saying, Ant?
Yeah.
Especially we gonna get, matter of fact, we here now. Bayou Classic.
We're gonna get this with it, man.
Coach dude. I mean, I'm sorry. Coach Jackson wore one of Coach Dooley's suits, and then he coached like him in the Bayou Classic.
Right.
I don't know. It's 4th and goal.
Hand the damn ball off 4 times in a row. 1st and goal. Hand the ball off 4 times in a row, bro. That's all you gotta do.
My question that and that I agree. That's why I'm asking. Was Tony Hull still calling plays? Because the offense and everything looked completely different from the beginning part of the season to the end.
I don't know, bro. At this point, it's some answers that the fan base deserves to have at this point. The fan base is getting restless, dog. It was too promising of a season for it to end the way it did. You know what I mean? Like you lost homecoming, you lost the Classic 2 years in a row. Like what are you building upon? You know what I mean? Like it really doesn't seem to be anything that you actually build it upon. So I mean, offense started off great. Toward the end of the year, it kind of sputtered here and there, had some big moments, but ultimately you got to look at the offense. Like they made improvements, but they're not where you want them to be a championship caliber team. We're not even going to talk about the defense, even though they made some strides later on in the season. But like at this point, what are you building, man? It's the fan base. A lot of the fan base feeling like there needs to be a change, bro.
You feel like there needs to be a change?
Fellas,
You feel like it should be the head coaching position, or because it was some people that were calling for Miles' job as a starting quarterback.
I mean, he didn't even try a different quarterback. You know what I mean? Like part of that's on coaching. We saw what happened whenever when Coach Graves got to Southern and they played a different quarterback. What happened? As much as we talked about the D. Davis situation, you got to give E-Rob credit for going with a different quarterback and sticking with him. You know what I'm saying? So whenever your quarterback ain't living up to what you think he should be living up to, like some of the fans, like some people was thinking, why not get another quarterback shot? You did it last year. Last year, you were a revolving door quarterback. This year, you stuck with one guy pretty much all season. So, I mean, it still goes back to the decision making at the coaching staff, at the top. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't seem to be any consistency.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, as far as like the QB situation, at what point do you not want your program to be like a revolving door of quarterbacks? Because I know that's something that's a question that I had when we first made that change with to put Damon Stewart in for D. Davis. I was like, I mean, we just came off of having a quarterback controversy with a quarterback battle with Dede and Miles the entire season last season. Then before that, we played 3 quarterbacks pretty much the whole season. Like at some point, it was like for me, I just want to see some consistency, like you said earlier. So I guess at what point, like, what would have had to happen if they did put in a quarterback for you to be like, all right, y'all got to pick and choose. Like y'all can't keep interchanging them.
Well, me personally, I was cool with Miles. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think that there needed to be a change made at the quarterback position. I think the play calling could have been better at times, especially situational play calling. But honestly, I'm kind of with you on that. Like, I think they found that guy, so you got to stick with him, even if he having a bad game. You know what I mean? Like you got to ride with him. But at the same time, I feel like the offense could have been better in certain aspects, especially red zone offense and things of that nature, especially in the Classic. But it just seemed to me like they got too cute offensively at times, and they kind of trusted Miles a little too much. Whenever you had, you can kind of keep it simple and just do what works instead of trying to be, kind of outsmart, outthink people in certain situations.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think anybody could tell you, football don't have to be complicated. I
Exactly.
think people make football complicated. Football really
Yeah.
don't got to be that complicated. Like y'all said, when you're whatever it is and one, run the ball. I mean, we saw a team lose a whole Super Bowl off of that. Like football don't got to be complicated. You don't got to change the wheel. You could do what works, like you said, and live with the results.
But I think that when you're considered an offensive guru like Hugh Jackson, sometimes you let your ego get in the way. You want to seem like, okay, I made the right decision bringing in Miles. I got all these all these great weapons, and we start the season off, and there were all these expectations for them offensively, and they start the season off great, like y'all said. So you want to keep that consistency. Well, I look at Miles as he's like that high school card that's gonna get you through high school. He's gonna get you through them 2-3 years. But when you're talking about playing in the big game and winning the big game, I just don't think he's the answer for them.
I can't say that. I can't say that. Miles did enough to win against Hampton. Miles, if I'm not mistaken, the first 3-4 weeks of the season, he looked, damn good. One player of the week, a couple of those games. He looked good against LSU. So I can't say that in the big game he saying it hasn't. You got to also look at the defensive side. What are you getting from the defense? And when the defense wasn't giving you anything, and you put everything on the offense, it's bound to, it's gonna cause some some issue because you're putting all the pressure on one side. So yeah. I don't know. I get it. He there were some games he could have been a lot better. But because what was the game was it the Alcorn game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Alcorn was a game he was like the first. I think it was the first time we kind of looked at it, was like, oh, Miles has
he wasn't great. He wasn't great Saturday. You know what I mean? Yeah. But whenever you got Chalk going for 100+, you got Williams going for like another 90 or whatever it is, like that. He don't have to be great. You know what I'm saying? He just got to manage the game. But that's the problem I have with the play calling at the end of the game is you got two running backs who in this game have almost 250. You know what I'm saying? Like, run the ball.
Yeah.
But can we talk about Sunday Anderson? The preseason SWAC he was player of the year. I feel like he didn't really live up to the expectations this year.
Yeah,
and I know Kendall made a video about him. I don't think there was nothing that popped when you watch him play, in my opinion.
It definitely wasn't nothing that popped when we played him.
He had a down year by expectations.
But I do feel Bubba was snubbed for preseason player of the year.
Definitely. And I think we all said that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
As at media days. But I will say that Sundiata, I know what they saw in Sundiata to hold him that, and I know what he can be. I just don't think this season he lived up to what that is.
They went based off potential as opposed to
exactly.
And I think we talked about that when we first saw it. Like, potential wise, the guy's super talented. The guy has that NFL type body. Like, the sky's the limit for him if he puts it all together. But I definitely think they put him in a tough spot when like you said, if you don't live up to that potential, it's like, it's kind of a disappointment.
Yeah. We got one more SWAC game.
Hold on. One more thing on this classic, because special teams been a thorn in Gramblin's side all year, bro, and it reared its head again on the damn punt return right before halftime to make the lead 21-7. And that ultimately was the difference in the game, was that 7 points that they gave up on special teams. You know what I mean? So when you're looking at this team, like, you looking at like what facet of the game can you hang your hat on and be like, yeah, like that's my identity, that's my strong suit. We are this team. You know what I'm saying? We are smash mouth like Alabama State. You know what they are. They're a smash mouth defensive team. You know what I mean? Like when you look at Grambling, what are they?
Supposed to be offense.
When you look at Southern, what are they? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I could at least give Southern the credit of they saw it wasn't working with Dooley, and they got him out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't advocating to get a coach fired by any means, but at the same time, what Grambling is putting out on the field isn't living up to the Grambling standards.
But I got a question though. If you are Grambling, right, and you're their AD, whoever made the hire, are you just that's a big time hire? It's not Dion by any means, but Hugh Jackson still was an NFL coach, got a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is that somebody you're just willing to let go of? Do you have
I don't think so. I don't think they are.
To let go
I don't think they are. I don't think they're gonna let go of them, bro.
Whoever picked out that suit need to be fired. I'm just gonna leave it there. That as soon
I honestly don't think he's going nowhere, bro.
Nah, he ain't going nowhere. I think
he's a better coordinator than head coach, in my opinion. That's just me though.
No, it's just I really thought with everything that was the way the story was set up, you had a team who had fired their coach, who has battled with quarterback play most of the year, inconsistency. A team that was, I mean, I don't know how to describe Grambling, but you had a team that was, I guess building momentum. I don't know. I don't know. At this point, it's just, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting start of season next year.
But I mean, we talked about this whenever we talked about the classic. The last time Coach Graves was the interim coach.
Yeah,
it was programming whenever they fired Fobbs. And he took Grambling in there and won. So I was kind of worried about the fact that he had done it before. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what if you Southern? What do you have to lose? You know what I'm saying? Like, they done already fired your coach. Like, why not just you ain't got a shot at the SWAC Championship? You know what I mean? Like, all you got to play for is your pride at this point. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I was worried about. But at the same time, I didn't expect Grambling to go look like the way they looked offensively. But you got to give credit to Southern, though. Like, Coach Graves making the move he made, putting Noah in a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? It jump-started their offense in the first half. And with the special teams, big play as well. But man, he just pulled the right strings and did what he had to do to get a win. And I mean, I ain't saying he should get that job, but I mean, if you look at what you want in a coach, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Get the most out your players and make the right decisions to put your team in a position to win the game. And let your players make the plays. And that's what happened. So I mean, you got to give all the credit to Southern and Coach Graves for the classic, but while I'm looking from my viewpoint, it was more of a Grambling lost the game type situation than Southern just went out there and won it. But all the credit in the world to Coach Graves, though.
Yeah, major kudos, Coach Graves. Only man to go 2-0. Well, I ain't gonna say only man to go 2-0, but let me rephrase that. Only person to win the classic on both sides is a head coach. So major kudos to that. Next up, man, I want to talk. I know we got another SWAC game that was this past week, but I do want to talk about the FCS playoff game with North Carolina Central and Richmond. Richmond ended up getting the win, 49-27. North Carolina Central controlled this game in the beginning until what I think has been stated. I think it's a separated shoulder. It hadn't been fully disclosed, but I think it was kind of briefly mentioned in the post game. It was a separated shoulder by Davis Richard, and Richmond ended up taking over in the second half. So,
yeah, once he went out, it kind of was the end of their hopes. Man, they didn't really have too much offensively to keep up with Richmond, and honestly, it was kind of a shock to me that the same Richmond team that we saw,
Mhm.
Morgan, it was
Morgan and Hampton.
yeah, they were much improved for sure.
Yeah. I still wasn't impressed. Central looks slow on defense, reaction wise. Offense couldn't get anything going after the injury, so it was bad all around. So
Yeah.
But
did they play to you like they didn't want to be there? Like since they wasn't in the Celebration Bowl, they kind of didn't want to be there.
I didn't get that at first.
Like the same type of mentality we've heard from like Alabama's and things of that nature when they don't make playoffs and things of that nature. Like they make the Sugar Bowl instead of the college football playoff, and they just act like they don't want to be there. Like, is that the vibe you got?
Not really. I got the vibe that I felt like they were after like I said, after Rashard got hurt, they looked demoralized.
Yeah, I'm talking about before he got hurt, like the way they came out.
I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel that they
just didn't, to me, they just didn't seem to be playing as crisp as they have been all season.
Yeah, I give you that. I know what you mean. Yeah. Execution was
yeah.
I could definitely see both of those things like compounding each other, and that making it like the ultimate outcome. Like I could see that being the case. I mean, anytime you lose your starting quarterback, especially if it's your star quarterback, that's where your offense comes from, your generation, all of that. Like, yeah, I could definitely see that.
I also think the way their season ended, obviously taking that blowout loss to Howard, you already got a lot of stuff on your mental because you're supposed to be, there's somewhere else you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be in the Celebration Bowl.
Exactly.
And, I get what you're saying because you've seen Alabama definitely, okay, this in the college football playoffs, we're playing Michigan in the Outback, in the state, the Outback state, or whatever the case may be. Andrew's not taking it seriously. Obviously, national championship is on the line, but you're already underdogs kind of going into there. So I mean, kind of is what it is.
Yeah. I agree. I see. We're gonna come back to this in the off season and talk about some of the conversation about HBCUs and LCS playoffs because this sparked a whole nother debate. And this gave a little bit of fuel to people coming out saying that basically HBCUs being inferior and all this kind of stuff. The crazy part about it, 2 HBCUs beat Richmond this year.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina Central beat 4 other FCS programs, and if I'm not mistaken, went 3-0 against the CAA. So the fact that it's coming up now is just kind of ridiculous. But
any given Saturday, man.
Yeah. So, well, anywho, man, we're gonna move on. Now this game I do want to talk about. Turkey Day Classic. Alabama State took on Tuskegee. Got the win 41-3.
Yes, sir. It's about time. It's about time. It's about time we put up 40. I'm sorry. I'm excited.
Oh no, I agree. In every way you can imagine, Alabama State dominated, and it didn't stop on the field. The band in the stands, Jack and Ball and Parlay.
Right.
It was wild, dog.
That was what I tip my hat.
No.
I definitely wouldn't expect when they played. I was like, hold on, am I tripping?
Yeah.
But it was because I was talking to one of the band. I was talking to one of the band members. They were like, we were only gonna play it if we were winning. We were losing, we weren't gonna play it because you can't just play it when, like, if you're gonna do something like that, like this move like that, you got to be winning the game, and to be dominating and play that song.
Yeah, you definitely got to be winning big.
Right.
Yeah. But
can't play that and let them come back and win.
Right.
I never let you end
it. Let's talk about this from y'all standpoint. This game. The way to culminate a season. Again, y'all had. I honestly feel like what we saw, the way y'all ended the season, y'all had the potential to be a SWAC Championship team, be a participant in the Celebration Bowl. But that wasn't the team we saw necessarily early on. What we saw at the end of the season, what we saw with this 5-game winning streak, with this dominant. I mean, granted, I will say Tuskegee is D2, but that's a heated rivalry. And
we lost to Miles, so I don't really count it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it's not like
at this point.
It's not like Tuskegee had so although they are D2, they compete with the best of the best.
Right.
So, from y'all standpoint, tell me about the game.
Kendall, you can take it first.
I think for me, we came out really strong. Our special teams has been, especially Robert McMinn Flash, like he's been great this season. He came out, I mean, he did what he does. We started off strong because of what he did, returning that kick, and it kind of just sparked everything else that you saw after that. Defense was energized, offense was energized, all of that. And I think one of the biggest things that I really loved about this game more than any other game is that you really got to see how deep this wide receiving core is. Keyshawn Johnson, I mean, best wide receiver in the SWAC, first team all SWAC, literally was our offense for a lot of the games that we played. And I think when you have a receiver that's so dominant, sometimes the other guys can kind of get lost in the shuffle. But we have guys that can play. And I think that was the thing that I wanted to see and that I saw, is that if Keyshawn's not going to play, who's going to step up? And you saw a whole bunch of guys step up. Even the game before that, you saw Tyree Saunders step up, Isaiah Scott, all of those guys. It was really good to see them kind of get into it and then, really just play to the level that we know they can play at. And then obviously the defense was stout. The defense was what our defense is. And it was nice to see everybody put it together. Finally, after wanting it, all season.
So I think that, like Kendall said, anytime the special teams has been our heart and soul all season long. It's been our offense sometimes. It's been our defense. Robert McMinn, when he has big games, we usually win the game, especially when he starts us off with a kick return, a big one. And he has, we talk about the quarterback change. One of the things that's different from this year to last year is our special teams has allowed us to play with a short field, which we didn't have a lot of last year. Damon Stewart, he's having to, go 40 yards or 30 yards to score a touchdown or get a field goal. And for D, he didn't really have that luxury last year. But one thing I will say about Dame that he is better than D at, he is better at protecting the ball and not putting the ball in harm's way. He's a lot more decisive, in most cases a better decision maker. And one thing Kendall has always talked to me about is Dame had a lot of opportunity to fail. We gave him opportunity to go out there and fail and make mistakes and learn on the fly. I know we're not talking about the quarterback situation, but that's the biggest switch that happened this season when we started winning. But I think that with D, he didn't really get the opportunity to go out there and fail. We started the season, and Kendall, what was the last game D played? What was that, Miles? That was the last one?
Yeah, he played against FAMU too, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
He didn't play against FAMU. D didn't play against FAMU.
He played another game, like
Bethune-Cookman.
They interchanged him. Yeah, they interchanged him for another game. I do remember that.
So I'm thinking like he should. Obviously, we lost to Miles, but he should get some more opportunity to fail and learn on the fly. Because that's, as a quarterback, especially as a freshman, a young one with not as much experience, you got to let them get an opportunity to go out there and make mistakes. And I feel like Dame had the perfect opportunity to go out there and he learned on the fly, and it resulted in that 5-game winning streak.
Also, I think one of the biggest things that stuck out to me, especially from this game, the offensive line play was a lot better. Our offensive line is a lot more improved. They got a brunt of the blame last season, for not protecting the quarterback or whatever, not picking up blitz packages or whatever. But they played as good as they could play a lot of the games this season, especially when they were outmatched. I thought that they kind of showed me a little bit when they went up against, defensive lines that were bigger than them. I heap a lot of the credit on that offensive line, because in that 5-game winning streak that we referred to earlier, Dame, I don't think he got sacked in at least 4 out of the 5 games. Yeah, at least 4 of the 5. So, offensive line, you win in the trenches, you lose in the trenches. So they definitely showed up and showed out.
I want to ask this. Just I guess get a little bit ahead. What are we looking? What are you guys looking like returning next year? Because you ended on a high note. We know how you guys ended last year. Completely different. You end on a high note. Kendall, you posted earlier. This is the most wins that y'all have had since I forget what year. 2013. What do you guys as far as production wise and experience? What are you returning? Because we know you're losing Bubba, Mikey Victor. So what are you guys bringing back?
You're losing a lot of veteran experience, a lot of guys who've been on this team pre-Coach Robinson. So it's gonna give Coach Robinson the opportunity to really bring in guys that he recruited. And that's no discredit to Bubba, who was on the previous coaching staff's recruiting team. But this is Coach Robinson's opportunity to really show what he has, what he can bring in. How is he going to really impact this team? I think that defensively we're losing a lot, but offensively we're bringing back just about everything. Outside of the Tyree Saunders and Isaiah Scotts, like Kendall mentioned, we're bringing in freshman Jalen Jones, who's a redshirt this year. And I think that we're going to be better offensively because Dame is having a consistent starter is something we haven't had over the last 4 or 5 years. So Dame having another year to really have a spring training camp, a summer camp, a fall camp with Keyshawn Johnson, who Kendall mentioned is the best receiver in the SWAC, could play against anybody, is going to be big. And I think that you can expect to see an offense that's going to score more than 14 points consistently.
As far as defense is concerned, I mean, he kind of touched on it already about us losing, some of our heavy hitters. One thing I do trust with this coaching staff is that the defense is going to play full stop, all out every single game. We kind of went through something like this last season, not to the same degree, but last season we lost Ershad Davis and Keenan Isaac. Losing those two guys, I mean, you got to replace those guys. Obviously, those aren't easy guys to replace. Those were the guys that made a lot of plays for the season before. Yeah, Nelson Jordan as well. So I mean, I think this defense has proven that they can plug and play a little bit. Obviously, Bubba Adams, like that's been your guy for a long time. Who replaces him? Who remains to be seen. But I do believe that we have the ability to kind of replace those guys. Maybe not right away, but I do believe that we have the ability to replace those guys. I mean, James Burgess has played really well. Amon Scarborough, all of these guys have kind of gotten their opportunities. And, you got Cale Jackson, Adrian Maddox. All of these guys have kind of gotten their opportunities, have gotten their reps. And I think ultimately you got a good crop of guys to, kind of get everybody else up to speed next season. So
personally, I feel like you got to replace Bubba with somebody in the transfer portal because I don't think you can develop a high school player to do what Bubba. Because when you're talking about this team, we're in a position now where next year is a win year. At least make the SWAC championship. We last year we had a winning season. This season you win the second most games since 2013. Next year it's on the table. This is the biggest all season I feel like in Coach Robinson's tenure so far. So I think replacing Bubba with someone who can play right now is important.
When you talk about improvement too, like, I mean, you can't really improve much more besides, beating that team that we haven't beat in FAMU. So, I mean, I think ultimately that's gonna tell the story for me. I don't really know like what the schedule looks like right now, but I think one of the things that kind of hurt us this year was we had FAMU so close, so early on in the season.
Your first game.
You play FAMU your first game in conference. Like that's a tough game to play, especially with the quarterback situation that we had. And our team really didn't find our footing. Obviously, you lose the Miles as well. That's a tough first game. I think we played them at the end of the season. It's a little bit different. Do we win? I mean, that's a toss-up, but I also think that we play a lot better. We put up a lot better of an effort. So I think strength of schedule is definitely going to be a thing for us as well. But ultimately, you gotta keep building, like we said earlier.
All right, and I think that is the perfect segue. SWAC Championship, FAMU versus Prairie View. I think you guys probably played FAMU the closest of any team I ever. I could be wrong, but I think you guys probably played FAMU the closest. Um, what do you guys see in FAMU that gives them a leg up in this game?
I think the quarterback position. One thing that happened in our game against FAMU was Jeremy Musa put together. He played a great first quarter and a great first half. I feel like, and he doesn't turn the ball over consist like in the moments that they need him. When they need him to go score a touchdown, he gets it done, and even if it's putting him in field goal range. And I think their defense. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't really impressed when we played Prairie View because that's another game we should have won. Really, every game we played this year, we should have won, but that's neither here nor there. I think that Jeremy Musa is a difference maker in this game because he got the experience. I mean, this your last year. This is your opportunity to really, wrap this thing up and finally get Coach Simmons that SWAC championship that he so heavily deserves.
Yeah, I think their offense makes plays when they need to. I think that's the most dangerous thing about FAM is that you can be up because we've seen a couple of games where they've been down or it's been really close, first half or whatever, and then you see FAM, you make the plays that they need to in order for them to win a game. So they make game winning plays when they need to make them. I think ultimately you have to, when they make mistakes, you got to capitalize on them. If you don't, then they're going to make the plays that you aren't. So it's really just going to be, is Prairie View going to be able to make them make mistakes, and are they going to be able to capitalize on those mistakes?
Yeah, I think the physicality and the size in the trenches is another difference between the schools and the teams. You know what I mean? FAMU, they got a lot of transfer guys in on that D line and the offensive line, and that size came into play the first time they played, and kind of the way they was able to kind of bully Prairie View around a little bit offensively. So, and then defensively, the way they was able to kind of manhandle them in the trenches and kind of keep Prairie View from doing what they wanted to do offensively. So if Prairie View can find a way to kind of combat that, I think they might have a chance. But the first time they played, they didn't have an answer for it.
And you got to be able to pass the ball against FAMU too. You can't. I know against Prairie View when they were playing against us, they were running the ball a lot.
Yeah,
and we don't have the offense that once we get behind by 2 scores, we can just score like that. FAMU does. We know they got the playmakers to turn the game over, and as you saw, can blow you out in a heartbeat. Because that was FAMU's best offensive game of the season when they played against Prairie View.
Yeah. Prairie View. I mean, I know y'all kind of touched on it a little bit. But let me ask this: if Prairie View wants to be competitive in this game, what do they have to do?
Make it ugly.
That's because that's all we've ever done. That's how we competed with FAMU. You got to make it a low-scoring game. You can't let the game get above maybe 14, 15 points in the first quarter or the first half, and force Jeremy Musa to make the big plays that he's consistently made. But you can't let this game. You can't lose 45-7 in the SWAC championship.
You gotta force some turnovers. You know what I mean? You gotta have some big play. You gotta try to play keep away. You gotta be able to run the ball, and you gotta be able to like you said, you gotta make it low scoring. You gotta make it be like 13-10 at halftime or something like that, and ended up being like a 27-20 type game or something like that.
Make it a fourth quarter game.
Yeah, if it gets up in the 30s and something like that, it's the bad look for PV, man. They need.
You're not gonna win no shootout.
Yeah, you need it in the 20s or lower, man, because it ain't happening against FAM.
Yeah. FAM also has a way they can't get going to their lows. FAM has a way of going into lulls at time and letting teams back in game.
Right.
I went to the when they came up here and played A&M. I wasn't expecting the game. It like it was about to be a blowout. It was real. I think I called Ant, was like, "Hey, this is about to be over with." It's like they didn't block 2 punts back to back. It's about to be over with. And then next thing you know, and them scores 21 quick, and they back in the game. Yeah. And it was like, fam, you couldn't move the ball. They couldn't do anything. And then all of a sudden they pick right back up. was like they rebooted. So they went and that's it. So I don't even know if that's enough for even Prairie View to. I'm not gonna say Prairie View doesn't have. I'll never say a team doesn't have a chance, but I don't know if that's enough for Prairie View to really take advantage.
I think when you have explosive playmakers who can go from 0 to 100 like FAMU does in a heartbeat, especially, I think the biggest thing about FAMU is I think they have a really, really deep running back core, and they know they can control the clock. And if you do not force any turnovers against FAMU, you are going to get blown out. That's just the reality of it. I think we forced a couple turnovers against them. We forced a couple 3-and-outs, but you got to get around. If you want to win, you got to get at least 2 to 3 turnovers. Win the turnover battle by a wide margin. And another guy I'm really impressed with a FAMU, I like Isaiah Major a lot. They do the beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what else to.
Willie Bowden said, "Look at SU game plan and follow that."
That's true too. With this game being in Bragg, I don't know how much that also helps. Well,
that's a distraction. Bragg is a distraction.
Man, they got one of the best home field advantages I've ever seen.
For a lot of reasons, Kendall. Yeah, I hope they ain't have no late nights out in Tallahassee. Because if you look up,
they
in
know
the
what
stands,
they're doing though, for sure.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, they know what they're doing for sure. I also think one of the things that can help them out too is you got to put pressure on Jeremy. I think because I feel like it's more likely for you to get like actual sacks than coverage sack. Khalil just talked about how explosive weapons they got. You're not going to have too many opportunities to get coverage sacks on them. So you got to put pressure on Jeremy. He processes things very quickly. One of the things that I have to give him his credit for that he did with us was, as good as our defense is, he saw through the holes in the zone very quickly. Like he does that better than probably 95% of the quarterbacks, if not all of them, in the SWAC. So when you got a quarterback that dissects defenses like that to the point where you can find holes in zones, you have to put pressure on him to speed that process up, because otherwise he's going to carve you up. And the more he carves you up short distance, that leaves room for a bomb down the field. And then next thing you know, you got a touchdown down the field. So I really think that putting pressure on him is also a key, because you gotta make him feel something, unless he's just gonna keep killing.
Yeah.
Do y'all think he lived up to the expectation this year as the preseason player of the year?
I don't think he was bad, but I think my opinion, Owens is the player of the year from Texas Southern. I just don't think he'll get it
because of the record.
Yeah.
Well, we've had several people point out that award, Offensive Player of the Year, usually goes to a quarterback.
Yeah, I think Musa will get it, but I think he's been solid, but I don't think he's been what I thought he would be. And that's not a knock by any means, because he's been good. But I thought we would kind of see on some Shador type, you know what I'm saying,
right,
from him this year.
Yeah. Them boys says if you get ahead of them on the scoreboard early, they are beatable. I don't know.
I disagree, because their offenses, they can put up points in bunches. And just because you get ahead against them, they're not like, y'all know how the SWAC is as far as offenses. It's not really that many explosive offenses like that. You know, once I think if you would have to be up by 2 touchdowns against FAMU in the fourth quarter to really have them kind of down and out with some turnovers. Go ahead.
I will say this though. I think if you could get up early on them, you could kind of force Musa to kind of press a little bit, and then kind of force him to make some of those throws he wouldn't normally make that could lead to some of those turnovers you was talking about.
Right.
Because you don't give them no space to low if that's the case.
Yeah.
If you're up like that, they can't go through the motions. And also, if you're up like that, you do what they do. You run the clock out. You know, run the ball. You know, whether or not you get the you got to get first downs doing that though, because you can't keep wasting possessions by trying to run the ball and not getting nowhere. But I honestly think what it seems like that, like we've been saying, you got to put pressure on them late in the game, force Jeremy to make some mistakes, and then all right, now we got a ball game.
Yep.
Yeah. I know we're gonna break this. We're gonna talk about this game again on Thursday. I know we are. Just because how big it is. I did have this question for y'all. Everybody's basically picking FAMU to win this game. Does it matter going up against Howard if it's FAMU or Prairie View? Will SWAC get it this year, or does it have to be FAMU to get the win in the Celebration Bowl?
Personally, I feel like it has to be FAMU. I'm not that high on Prairie View at all, or any other team. The SWAC outside of us. Let's be being biased though. I think it has to be FAM because they have the best quarterback in the SWAC.
Yeah, I think anytime you have like a underdog going up against a more established type team, you always want the more established team to represent you. Right. So in that regard, yes. But I also feel like if Prairie View can take them down, then that's a team that I believe deserves to go to the SWAC Championship or that deserves to go to the Celebration Bowl. Because to me personally, if you can figure FAMU out, you got something.
That's not easy. So, that's what you said it done.
Exactly. But I'm saying if Prairie View was to win the game, you figured them out somehow, some way. So can you do it again? That'd be my only thing. I do want to see the best team go, but at the same time, you know, if Prairie View can beat them, y'all the best team to me. Regardless.
I got a question for y'all though. Do y'all feel like if Coach Simmons wins the Celebration Bowl, he leaves FAMU? Because there's a lot of head coaching jobs open right now. It's a lot of good opportunities open. No. You don't think so?
No. Because I guess my question is, FBS wise, what job is open that he's going to take? Because I don't see a Power 5 job calling.
No.
But this is it. You haven't seen the trickle down effect yet.
And I get it. Yeah, and that's true. That's true. But I don't see it. Not this year.
So next year.
You playing fantasy, bro. You be wanting people to just leave, just go this place, that place.
No. I mean that's a fair question because I'll be honest with you.
It's a very possible. It's a very likely possibility that this is his last year. I'm not saying it is, but I mean it's very possible.
Yeah. Also, Tallahassee is an easy place to recruit too.
True, they recruited me and they ain't even give me no pitch. Every time I go down there, I won't leave.
You get distracted too easily.
So I want to say this. I want to go back to y'all team. So, the first time I saw, and I'm sure you've heard this before. First time I saw Damon Stewart, I thought it was Kendall in a uniform.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? I thought. So that's why
y'all do kind of looking like though. Y'all do kind of. I ain't gonna lie. Right now, y'all do.
That's why David. I said that's why Kendall was trying to talking about. Maybe we should try a new quarterback. He's trying to get on the field. Okay, I understand.
And now Kendall he's trying to find all the ones after the game. Like, ain't you the quarterback?
Yep, that's me. Be coming out with the. I bet he got a gym bag. You take everything on it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, he got one of them.
Dude, if I was playing like if I was playing like that for sure, absolutely.
Got slides. Y'all want to stick around while we do these MEAC and SWAC honors real quick?
Follow us.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, because we got I'm going to get this. Because we do have the MEAC and SWAC all conference teams and all that. So give me 1 second. All right, hold on. right. I think these. I'm not sure. I think the MEAC came out last week when they put out theirs. And I do want to apologize. We have the SIAC and CIAA. We just hadn't put them out yet or did them. But we'll try to probably end up posting them. But I do want to go ahead and go. Now, the MEAC did announce their offensive lineman of the year, rookie of the year, and coach of the year. Offensive lineman of the year is Torricelli Simpkins II from North Carolina Central. The rookie of the year, Jawan Howell from South Carolina State. Coach of the year is Trey Oliver from North Carolina Central. The offensive and defensive players of the year will be announced later at a later date at another award ceremony they're going to have. This is the first team offense. Davis Richard. I don't think anybody's surprised there. Running back, also from North Carolina Central, Latrell Mookie Collier. Running back, Jawan Howell from South Carolina State. Wide receiver, Casey Hawthorne from Howard. Wide receiver, Devin Smith from Central. Tight end, Kashawn Toney from South Carolina State. Center, Torricelli Simpkins. I'm sorry, I said the second. It's the third. I'm sorry. Torricelli Simpkins III from Central. Aneem Dankwa from Howard. Nick Tasty from South Carolina Central. Daquan Thomas from North Carolina Central, and Demetrius Witherspoon from Howard. That is your first team offense. On defense, D lineman Darian Brokenberg from Howard, Jaden Taylor from Central, Elijah Williams from Morgan State, Patrick Godbolt from South Carolina State, Eric Hunter from Morgan State, Terrence Holan from Howard, Jaden Flaker from Central, Kenny Gallup Jr. from Howard, Jordan Toles from Morgan State, Jason Chambers from North Carolina Central, and Javion Morton from Morgan State. Also on the first team defense, they do have the special teams, the punter Aaron Bickerton from Howard, place kicker Adrian Olivo from Central, and return specialist Brandon Codrington from Central. I'm not gonna go over the whole second team, but it's on there. It's a lot of Howard. You got Quentin Williams, Eden James, Jared Hunter. Yeah, a lot of Howard on the second team. Second team defense. A lot of Morgan State, Norfolk State. So you can see. So that's it for your first team and second team. I apologize for those listening to the audio, but you can find that on the what is it on? MEAC's page. Let me get the SWAC's players of the week. SWAC honors up. The SWAC is not going to release any of theirs until as far as the offensive and defense. So I think till late December. All right, here we go. First team. Quarterback, Jeremy Musa from FAMU. Ladarius Owens from Texas Southern. Running back, you got Jarvion Howard from Alcorn. Eric Dunn, offensive lineman from Prairie View. FAMU offensive lineman Cameron Coven. Robert Austin IV from Alabama State. Deontay Graham from Jackson State. Ryan Atkins from UAPB. Keyshawn Johnson from State. Monterio Hunt from Alcorn. And Tavarius Griffin from Alcorn. That's your first team offense. First team defense, Malachi Bailey from Alcorn. Anthony Dunn Jr. from FAMU. Sundiata Anderson from Grambling. Sakelby Givens from Southern. Isaiah Majors from FAMU. Colton Bubba Adams from Alabama State. Rico Dozier from UAPB. Amari Hill Robinson from Bethune-Cookman. Kendall Bowler from FAMU, Jordan Carter from Southern, and Eric Smith from FAMU. That's the first team defense. The specialist, Cameron Gillis, place kicker from FAMU. Jimmy Isles, punter from Grambling. Terrell Gardner, return specialist from Alabama A&M. Braxton Blackwell, long snapper from Southern. Second team, I'm not going to go over the whole list, but you had Aaron Allen, Chance Williams, Donovan Eaglin on there. Then you had two Alabama State offensive linemen in there. Marcus Riley, Shareed from FAMU. So, yeah. And just looking at this list, it's a lot of FAMU guys. It's not that many Prairie View guys on this list. That was what somebody pointed out earlier. So, Zarion Hayes, defensive lineman, defensive end for Alabama A&M. He's on second team. And I feel like he should be first team, but then you look at it like, who do you take off?
Yeah. Because I was thinking the same thing about Lyndon Rash not making it. But I'm like, who you take off?
Yeah. Mikey Victor is on here too on second team as well. So
I think he should have been first team personally, but you know.
Yeah, we go back to again, like I said, who you take off. So, but that is the first and second team SWAC. So, y'all got, other than, like I said, some people we feel like probably should have been first team. Is there anybody you would take off or move up?
I feel like Adrian Maddox should be on this list somewhere. Okay. Because I feel like we should have more secondary guys on this list. Now, obviously, I know how good FAMU is, but during our 5-game winning streak, you can't tell me we didn't have the best. You can make an argument even right now. We have the best defense in the SWAC. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. But I feel like we should have more guys on there. There was a stat at one point in that 5-game winning streak. Over 10 quarters, we gave up 9 points. 9 points. And you saw how we ended the season off. So that's how I feel. We should have more guys from the secondary on there.
Yeah. I mean, I understand.
I agree with that. I think, Khalil basically said everything I was going to say. But, yeah, I agree with that, though.
So we leave it up to y'all. Y'all whole defense would be on this list.
No, not the whole defense. No.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to be realistic, but there's a little bit of bias there for sure.
Yeah.
We just have a really deep secondary, and the fact that we didn't have, like, outside of Mikey and James Burgess, who are 2 starter corners, a lot of guys got rotated in and out. So nobody really had a solidified spot the whole season because they were so good, because you couldn't just keep one guy on the field. I mean, your third string deep safeties and corners looking like starters and making plays.
Yeah. I'm surprised Gardner from Alabama A&M's first team returner. But he got a lot of opportunities. And I think that kind of speaks to A&M a little bit. He got a lot of opportunities to return and punt. Not kickoffs, punts. And I know when I said that, he got a lot of punt return opportunities. I'm gonna say it like that. So
I feel like Gremlin deserved more offensive people on the personal second team.
Yeah. I'm surprised Chalk went on there.
That's what I'm saying. And Lyndon Rash wasn't on there neither as a receiver.
I will say this, I'm glad to see Aaron Allen getting some credit, because I made a comment early in the season. I felt like personally, just based off of what I saw in person, Aaron Allen was a better quarterback than Jeremy Musa. But that was just my humblest opinion.
At times, I agree.
Yeah, he played better at times.
I feel like I'm shocked Irv Mulligan went on there, but I do know he was out for a while with injury.
Are you taking off?
He got injured against us and was out for a period after that.
I mean, Jarion had some good games, but I can only think of like 3 or 4 games where he was like really dominant.
Right.
But he was solid all season though.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, how do y'all feel about TC's first season as head coach?
I think he did a great job. I think he did a great job. 74 is very realistic. Very realistic. I think that I will say, and I know y'all may think different. The loss to y'all was the biggest surprise to me. I think all the other games, I did think that I thought they were going to lose another one. I swapped that loss, and it is again not a shot at y'all. I thought that the loss to was going to be against A&M. Just because how the schedule kind of set up a little bit, I felt like that's how the loss was going to be. Y'all actually made y'all quarterback change a lot sooner than I thought y'all would.
I thought
too.
Or
me too, especially.
I thought the loss was going to be the Southern on the second game of the year, having to go to month down there. I felt like it was going to be the loss, but TC shocked me honestly, being as successful as he was first time head coach, first year with all that turnover that they had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you got to look at that and say it's a pretty successful season, especially considering when you look at a team like North Carolina A&T who had similar turnover, and they only won one game. You know what I mean? So I feel like when you look at what it could have been, you got to definitely say that's a successful season.
Yeah.
I was kind of questioning the whole, because they made the quarterback switch against us from Jason Brown to Jacobian Morgan. And I didn't necessarily feel like Jason Brown was playing bad, in my opinion. I felt like they were a little bit hard on him. I mean, he didn't execute in the big moments, but I mean,
I don't think he played bad. He wasn't as so.
He wasn't dynamic.
I'm trying to think though. Okay, I'm trying to word this carefully because it could come off as like a shot. With as much experience or time he's had, as far as being in college, I felt like he should have been more experienced and more explosive. And gotten more yardage. Like you said, he wasn't terrible. He didn't necessarily do anything to lose you any games, but he wasn't necessarily. I thought how he looked against South Carolina State is how he should have looked all season.
Now, do you feel like Jacobian Morgan is better though?
I do. I think he's more dynamic.
Yeah, he gives you more.
His legs bring a different element to the game that helps you offensively and that keeps the defense from being able to do too much. They got a factor for his legs. So I think that what he's able to do brings more to the offense and opens it up a little more for them offensively.
That's fair.
I think it's always interesting when you're looking at starting quarterbacks and like trying to determine, especially in the college game, like who's going to be your starter, who's not. Like that's always an interesting thing for me to look at because you do have so many things to factor in. Like you said, is this quarterback more dynamic? Does dynamicism always translate to winning games? Does that always translate to performance?
Yeah.
And it's we talked about like having a short leash earlier with our quarterbacks. Like, when is that right time to take somebody out? Because ultimately you could be in a situation where you take somebody out and you need him later on in the season. Like you done destroyed all of his confidence because you took him out so early, or you took him out when you did. Now we don't have no confidence going into it. So it's always an interesting thing for me to look at, like when you're talking about quarterbacks and who's gonna win you games. Are you in a position where it's like, all right, we're trying to win right now, or are you in a position where you want to give them some time to get acclimated to make mistakes and all of that, and then all right, let's see what we got later on in the season or the season after.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but you also on the flip side of that, especially with transfer portal, and not having to sit. If you've got a guy that's good, I mean, it kind of worked out for y'all. I know we got Mr. Crawley in the building. a lot of people feel like Miles should have been the starter, should have had played well enough to be the full-time starter for y'all last year. But then you gamble and you lose a guy like that. And if Damon Stewart has, because if I'm not mistaken, he came to y'all a little bit late in the process, right?
It was around. It was sometime in the spring, late spring.
Yeah. If he does not come to y'all, what are kind of y'all might have been kind of left. I ain't gonna say high and dry because y'all had backup quarterbacks and stuff like that, but it would have been a completely different story, if and a different gamble, and we could be having a whole different we could be having that main conversation about Coach Robinson right now. So,
and I think for that situation, politics came into it a lot too.
I mean, I completely agree.
When you break it down, like if I am Coach Robinson and his coaching staff, Miles isn't my guy, and you could tell that they felt that way by how they built the offense around Dede, and then when Dede went down, then it's like, all right, we kind of got to scramble to put something together for Miles. So, I mean, in my opinion, when I saw Miles going to Grambling, I was like, I was happy for him in the sense that he finally gets an offense that's built around him. He never got that with us because you were in a quarterback battle the year before with Ryan Nettles and Joe Owens, and then now you're in a quarterback battle with D. Davis. So I think when it comes to like quarterbacks, especially for us, it's like you don't want to have that revolving door like we talked about earlier. You don't want to have a revolving door of quarterbacks. So when are you going to make that decision?
Yeah. Let me ask this: what was the biggest surprise for y'all season?
I feel like for one was for sure the fact that we made that quarterback change so early in the season. And I also feel like the biggest surprise, the biggest win surprise was beating Jackson State. And the fact that, the score was close, but I feel like we outplayed them the whole game. We beat them handily. And this season felt like a reversal last season because last season we should have finished with the same record we did this year. So it felt like we were kind of riding the ship. And I think that Coach Robinson did a good job at early in the season. You talking about starting 1-3 and losing 3 games in a row and losing to Miles College, who personally I don't think people give enough credit to the program because I feel like Miles can compete in the SWAC, in my opinion. That is a good football team, very well coached. And
this year.
This year, they were pretty solid last year. They're a pretty solid program, and they get a lot of players from us as far as transfer portal. You don't think so?
Now, I will say last year defensively they were pretty good. They got it clicking this year on offense,
right?
So, yeah.
But yeah, that Jackson State win was the biggest surprise, and all the losses hurt. Because like I said, you could very easily be looking at us this year and we could be in the SWAC championship very easily because we were the second best team in the SWAC on the second half of the season.
So it's funny because I know we all kind of said the same thing about the kind of surprise at how quick the quarterback change was made. As quick as the quarterback change was made, I still feel like it should have been sooner. I feel like it should have been early. If he was going to make it, like when he made it in the Miles game, it was like you put Damon in there last minute, trying to put, now he's cold coming in. It felt like he should have came in midway through or earlier to, if you're trying to create a spark, And
I wholeheartedly agree with that point for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, either way, man. Either way.
And I said
to answer you, my fault. No, you can go.
This is my last point, Kendall, real quick. I said this before. Kendall, remember? I said I feel like that was one of Coach Robinson's worst decisions as like in his tenure was throwing Dame in that Miles game so late on the last drive of the game, and he throws a pick and he has another turnover because if you go back and look at it, Dame had 3 turnovers within his first 3 starts in crucial drives. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about. What confidence are you really building by throwing him in? And you still got a quarterback battle going on. And I feel like for them to still somehow win 5 games in a row while you're still unsure about the quarterback position, it was crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. I think if you had any type of feeling that you were going to make a quarterback change, you can't do it the last or the second to last drive of a game against a D2 opponent going into conference play. I feel like you kind of set yourself up for that. And obviously, like, I don't think that we played as well as we could have played against Fan because of that too. I mean, because ultimately, like we said already, you have a game-winning drive. Like, we have a game to win. We don't have time for Dame to get into the game and feel it out and all of that. Like, nah, if we gonna live and die by Didi, we're gonna live and die by Didi. And if we got a quarterback change coming, we can handle that later. You don't do that in the middle of that game. And to be honest, I don't really think, watching some of the game over, I don't really think the play calling helped Didi out a lot either, especially when it went like towards the end of the game. And I can say that about the Alcorn game too, when they, when we were kind of flip-flopping. Like, I feel like sometimes obviously the play calling is different. Like, that's pretty obvious to anybody that's watching the games. Yeah. Dame had more time to kind of get adjusted to everything. And I think that's what played a part into it. But to answer your original question, I think the 5-game winning streak was my biggest surprise. That might be cheating a little bit, but you got to look at the losses that we had. You lose the Miles. That was demoralizing. You lose the Fam. I mean, that wasn't as bad, but then you come back and lose the Alcorn. Like, and I said it when we lost the Miles. The next couple of games are going to determine how this season goes. Because we could have easily called it in after we lost the Miles. Play so be some of the teams that are lower in the division, lower in the conference, and then just get blasted by the better teams. But they showed me something a lot with that 5-game winning streak, especially like we said, winning those tough games. That Jackson State game, especially making Grambling look very pedestrian when necessarily going into it they weren't necessarily looking like that.
Not too much now. Not too much.
I'm just saying, like, it was like automatic. Like, Grambling came in not really looking like themselves.
That's true. That's true.
And like it was as soon as the game started. And I know Miles, that's an emotional game. You're playing against your whole team, all of that type of stuff. But nobody really looked there. Yeah. And so that was the thing that kind of shocked me. Like, they made some teams that were better than they were, or better than they should have been. They made some teams that weren't as good. Because I'm not.
Come on, Kendall. Come on, man. You gotta get.
They made some teams that were playing really well. They made them look worse than they were. Yeah, and I think that's a testament to how we played.
If you go back and look on that 5-game,
y'all so petty.
How many
I'm
times?
Just gonna rub it in, huh? Just
how many times?
Hey, it's just.
All right.
How many times did we face number 1 offense in the SWAC during that 5-game winning streak, or number 2 offense? A&M, y'all remember at one point in the season they were scoring a lot with the quarterback situation they had going on, and we made their offense look what, Kendall? Pedestrian, in your words. So I just think that we faced a lot of tough offenses, and they could have been very easily, like Kendall said, for us to roll over. But some way, somehow, Coach Robinson found a way to get the most out of this team and the most out of this season. And in the season, they could have easily, like you said, he could be looking like Coach Maynard right now. When I got, okay, what have you done outside of what's the quarterback they had? I can't think of his name.
Akil Glass.
What have you done outside of Akil Glass? That's a Belichick and Brady type situation, by the way.
Oh wow.
What has he done, Kendall? I mean, what has Maynard done?
At least in the SWAC, I say
in the SWAC, yeah. Because I think his saving grace, and it's not saving at A&M, but his saving grace is what he's done at previous stops. It doesn't apply to A&M. You know what I'm saying? What he's done at A&M. I agree there, but yeah.
Especially like you talking about 0-2 in the SWAC to a first time. I mean 0-2 in the Madison City Classic. A lot of some of these fans, just to be honest with you, they could care less about if you lose every game of the season, but as long as you win the Classic, they fine.
Boy, it sound like Grambling fans, boy.
I'm just being honest though. I'm just being honest. And you losing that, you being 0-2 to Coach Robinson, who's a first-time head coach. I mean,
2 games you gotta win, bro.
Right.
Homecoming and the Classic, dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm pretty sure we fired our last coach right after the Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like that was like the game, the determining factor of whether he kept his job to the end of the season or not.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if y'all remember this, but that was one of the reasons why Reggie Barlow got put on the hot seat and got, you know what I'm saying, let go. It was because they felt like he wasn't winning at a high enough clip against A&M and Tuskegee. You know what I'm saying? Basically both classics.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
I got a question.
You see that?
Go ahead, Kendall.
I was just gonna say you see that even with the Power Fives, like Ohio State coach Ryan Day. Like, I mean, if you can't beat Michigan, like what are you here for basically?
But Ryan Day is
undefeated all season.
His Ryan Day's issue is and somebody I was listening to the radio Saturday coming, you know, saying driving down the road, and they were talking. The Brian Day's issue is he had, I think he's like at the time he was 56-6. He's 56-7 now. None of those 56 are really memorable, except for like one or two. But all the 7 are memorable because they were, you know, saying losses to Michigan, losses to Clemson, losses to, you know, saying the team, you know, so all of those are memorable. Yeah, all the big games. So, yeah.
I mean, but do y'all feel like? How do y'all feel about our program as far as Coach Robinson as a this being year 2? Do y'all feel like this was would y'all consider this a successful season?
Of course.
So he completely changed. I like Coach Rob. I thought Coach Robinson was a good coach. I think he's ahead of the schedule. Coach Robinson is, because we talked about it last time. I was like, making that quarterback change, and it's funny that it hinged on one decision, but making that quarterback change, making the, I'm trying to think what else. It's the quarterback change. It's like some of the games that y'all won. It's like it all just changed. Like the Jackson State win completely changed the season. Completely changed the season.
That's his signature win.
Like, yeah, it's like it's like from there it was because even with that, because if you look, A&M beat Grambling, y'all beat Jackson State, and y'all played in the Magic City. And everybody, it went from being, because at one point it was everybody before they was talking about Magic City Classic may be the game, see who keep their job. And then it was like after the, you know what I'm saying, both programs won, it was like Magic City Classic might be the game to see who get their extension first. And then y'all, it's like y'all rode that momentum from there. And even in that game, the Hail Mary at halftime, right before halftime, completely changed. It's like I personally feel like the Jackson State game and that Hail Mary was like the turning point of, and I know it's early in his career, and it's too early to say it, but it was like it's probably the turning point of his tenure right now. So, you know, but he's got to build on it next year. I don't necessarily think he has to win the SWAC East next year.
Gotta make it.
But he got to make it, you know what I'm saying, close. He got to be like number 2. You know what I'm saying, with the loss being close. So
yeah, he got to at least be like a game.
Yeah,
within a game of being in the SWAC championship. You know what I mean? Like if you lose to FAMU and that's the reason why you don't go, that, you know what I mean? Like that might be
understandable.
You can't have 3 or 4 losses in the SWAC.
Yeah.
And I think this was probably one of the first years in a long time that during that 5-game winning streak, we were going into games expecting to win. Like we were making, last year we didn't do a good job of making the inferior teams look inferior. Like we would play around with them.
Our competition.
Right. We play up or down. And even if you look at every single loss that Coach Robinson has had outside of UCLA in his first 2 years, every game was a winnable game. Last year, even if you go back and look at the Jackson State game, we lost 26-14. You go back and look at FAMU this year, that was a winnable game. Miles this year, that was a winnable game. Every single loss, he hasn't just got dominated in the game.
And I think when we're talking about improvements, I think it's also deeper than just numbers, because a lot of the games that we won this season, we would have lost last season because we were shooting ourselves in the foot. Like penalties was a big thing. We killed ourselves with penalties a lot last season, and this season the problem wasn't there really at all. And even if it didn't hurt us as much. So I think when you put it in a perspective, not only are you getting more wins, but you're also changing the perception, changing the culture of your program. And I think ultimately that's what you got to do as a coach coming in. And when we talk about improvement, winning the SWAC East is not necessarily an easy thing to do, especially the last couple of years when you got Finn, when you got Jackson State. But making those slight changes, like we said, even with the offense and stuff like that, making those changes is making all the difference in the world.
I think next year is a winnable year too for him. As far as like if you had to win a championship, next year is year, because there's so many quarterbacks are, you got Jeremy Musa who'll be gone. You got Prairie View, their quarterback will be gone. Alcorn quarterback will be gone. So that next year is your opportunity. You're bringing back the most familiar offense with a returning quarterback. That's your opportunity right there. You got the most chemistry. Obviously, you're losing Bubba, and you got to go get somebody at the transfer portal who can, maybe not put up the same numbers as Bubba, but be around, still be as impactful. So I think that we're going to be in a situation next year where, like you said, the expectation has to be either you're going to lose the FAMU by 2 points, or you're going to be in the SWAC championship.
I see it.
I don't know what that is. Jeez. I guess we go ahead and get ready to wrap it up and get up out of here. And you got anything before we get up out of here?
Nah.
I do want to say shout out to Jackson State women basketball. Big win again in Puerto Rico against St. Joe. I'm not St. John's. And the men's side, Mo Williams, they were close. They fell short to Georgetown. Basketball is crazy as a whole. Shout out Norfolk State women, man.
Oh yeah, they've been.
I don't feel like Jackson State got enough
thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, that was a big win for Jackson State beating Missouri.
Oh yeah, that was huge win. Thoughts and prayers to Mississippi Valley State men and women, because they've been getting abused by everybody they play in basketball.
I ain't never seen a team get beat by 100.
I see who.
That was crazy.
What was it, 119?
Yeah,
it was 101 to 19. Yeah,
that was crazy.
We ain't too far behind, though.
We got to square up after the game.
Everybody chill out.
We got to square up after the game.
Oh yeah.
I'm for real.
19 points though in quarter. It's not halves, it's quarters.
That's less than 5 points a quarter, bro. That's wild, bro.
D-Lob said they need John Morant to dress up like Juwanna Man. It's funny, his little sister on that team too.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
She on that team.
Is Valley good in any sports though? I mean, I ain't trying to disrespect them, but like,
you got like cricket or something?
You're crazy. You're crazy. Wiffle ball.
Hey, shout out to Alabama State new golf facility, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's wild. That's wild. It's like y'all got like top golf in y'all building, man. That's dope.
They're trying to do a good job at expanding the the game, which is predominantly for white people, into the black community, which is always a good thing.
That's a big thing that Coach Hurd has been talking about for sure.
Golly, come on. My bad, man. I'm looking. I need Justin Fields to throw an interception. This game is terrible.
He fumbled. Yeah.
He fumbled. Yeah.
Who they playing today? I forgot the
name. Vikings.
You ain't missing much
at all.
Oh, he wide open.
9-3 in the fourth. Golly,
He wide open and didn't catch it.
I just got done watching my Lakers get beat by almost 100 points by the Sixers. So
I saw that too.
Wow.
Man,
How did he not catch that though?
sheesh. How much
You
AD
gotta put that
finished
in the
with?
middle of the field.
he finished with 18. But Embiid and
Yeah, the triple double.
Embiid and Maxey finished with 60 points combined. So
Oh man, it's gonna be all right, bro.
whatever.
I'm gonna be straight.
Mm-mm-mm. All right, fellas. Before we go, man, tell the people where they can find y'all.
Wildcard 2K on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, the Wildcard on YouTube. We should be having another episode to really break down the football season because we missed a lot of episodes. But make sure y'all tune in, come follow us.
For sure, man. Y'all gonna see some good stuff. We promise. Always
Most
entertaining
definitely.
too. Always entertaining.
Always.
Yes. Hey, y'all know what it is. It's all love. Definitely appreciate y'all coming through, man. I always enjoy talking with y'all, man, and laughing with y'all. Y'all going to the well, I know Kendall is. I didn't picked up on that vibe. You going to SWAC? I mean to SWAC Championship? You
Kendall
going to
not going.
Tallahassee?
We wish.
I get a flight. I go. I can't guarantee I'm gonna
Man,
get
y'all-
one back, but I go.
I'm trying to go to Celebration Bowl though. So for real.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
at least
think
one
I'm
of them.
I'm trying to catch both, but we'll see. We'll see. I gotta check and see if these credentials came through. If not, I ain't going nowhere.
You know how that go.
I ain't going nowhere. I probably need to sit down somewhere. I'm tired now. Been on the road since all month. So anyway, man. And you got anything? I know I already asked you. I'm asking you. You got anything before we get up out of here?
Nope. I'm good, brother.
All right. Like that.
D-Law,
We
make
out.
sure you
We'll
go watch
see
the video. My fault. I was reading that comment. Go watch the video, D-Law.
Oh no. Okay. All right. We'll be back on Thursday. Like that. We out. This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Bring me my money.